Good afternoon. How are you? Okay, well, let's talk about the next component in the emulator, which is called the program counter, or PC. We see the emulator is already started up and powered up, and we have the clock halted at this point. So when a CPU powers up, it wants to immediately start executing code. That's really its sole purpose in life. But where does it find this code to execute? In the memory, of course. But memory can be a big place, or not in our case, since we only have about 16 bytes. But nonetheless, there needs to be a way for it to know. That's where the program counter comes in. It's going to keep track of our instructions inside our program that need to be executed. And that program is stored in RAM, but we're going to talk a little more about that later. The program counter is a component that we can connect to the clock, and this is accomplished by checking the CE, or the clock enable. So I'm going to go ahead and unhalt the clock, and see we got our little indicator going here. I'm going to speed that up a little bit. We're going to have 2 per second. So we learned this in the last video. And then we're going to go ahead and do the CE. And then you'll notice that this is basically a counter, so every time the clock pulses on the leading edge, the beginning of the clock pulse, then it's going to count from 0 to 15 and then back to 0 again. So you see the 4 LEDs in the program counter are keeping track of the pulses. So, like we said, that's going to limit us to basically 16 instructions in our program. But that's going to be okay because, we don't need to calculate pi to the 100th decimal or anything. I mean, we're going to be doing very, very simple things. Basically, simple addition is all we need for our understanding, and so we can accomplish that with the limited CPU we're building. All right, so we enabled the CE, and there's also a jump function here that's it's really like SAP2 stuff, but Ben had implemented that to make this kind of Turing complete. Basically a computer that has the possibility of branching, but we're not going to get into that right now. The other control line of interest is the CO, which is clock out, and a lot of the components have out, and what that means is that whatever value they have is going to go to the bus. And so by clicking the CO, we see that this value is copied to the bus. That's pretty much it for the program counter for now. Since we introduced the bus, we'll talk about that next. Have a good one.